Okay, the task named deprecated. In this task, you gain access, you're given access to an account on a machine. The account is called guest, and as you can guess, it doesn't have access to the files that you need to access to get the token. So, but this user has access to an executable file that has the set UID bit set, which means that the file will be run as the user that owns the file. And if I don't remember it wrong, the file is owned by a user named flag. So that's the user that also owns the token file that you need to access. If you look at the set UID binary, you'll quite quickly see that it uses some deprecated C functions for getting input from the terminal. Namely the function which is called gets. And gets doesn't do any checking to see if the buffer that it's supposed to store the data on is large enough to actually have all the data in it. So if you try to use gets and give it a buffer which has size 10 and you write 20 characters in the terminal, then the buffer will be filled with 20 characters, and you'll of course overwrite whatever else is on the stack. And you can use this to change the control flow by overwriting the stored return address on the stack, so that you return into some code that you have inserted into the program. Yeah, so for this task, we've also disabled a lot of the functions that the modern Linux kernels provide to make it more difficult to exploit programs, such as address-based layout randomization, which will make libraries and processes start at random addresses, so that the buffer which you can overflow won't always be at the same location. But as I said, since we've disabled that, the buffer will always be in the same location, which makes exploiting quite a lot easier. Yeah. So Christian has created some shell code, and he'll give the shell code as input to the program, so that the shell code will be stored on the stack. Or wherever the buffer is, and then he'll construct the rest of the buffer in such a way that the return address on the stack is overwritten to point to the shell code that he has inserted on the stack. And the shell code will basically, it has some functions that sets the UID of the process. Because when you exec v into another process, sometimes the UID is not the same if you're running a set UID binary. So he uses the UID functions to set the UID, and then he tries to execute a shell. Yeah, so he's found the address that he wants to use, and he's flipping the value so that it's in little endian format, because x86 processors, Intel processors, are little endian. So yeah, the address that object dump gives you is in big endian format, but we need it in little endian format, so that the smallest byte of the address is first. And then he's creating some padding so that everything is aligned properly on the stack. So he's having some difficulties remembering the exact arguments to give to the different functions. And as you can see, now he's gotten a shell on the machine.
Okay, so whoa, sorry about the technical difficulties. Using another person's computer is kind of, yeah. So okay. This challenge is kind of hard if you've never programmed any assembly, because you have to construct the shell code. The hint in this task was the address that the program prints out. So we're tricking the program into jumping back to this address. And the first thing that I'm sending to the program is the shell code. And using XXD, I'm transforming it into binary format so that computer can understand this as code and run it. So yeah. After running this, I have a shell with elevated privileges. So yeah, this binary is owned by the user flag. So I've spawned a shell as this user, and now I can view the flag.
And that's the end of that task. Yeah, so the next tasks that we're going to go through are the Afk tasks.
Har du sett meg videoen? Her var den sånn.
Hvis du Ok, jeg kan vise den frem senere.
Ja, jeg gjør det. Spør hvor mange som fikk til det.
QR-koden?
Ja.
How many of you do you manage to complete the QR code assignment? Yeah, okay. So there's some backstory to this assignment. We were supposed to print the token as a QR code, but during testing, Christian was inserting YouTube videos to the QR code creator. So accidentally, we printed out the QR code with the link to the Rickroll YouTube video. And since we had printed it out on such nice paper and in such a large size, we decided just to go with it.
Hva har du gjort?
Men du fikk jo den, da. Du har gjort noe, du har fått den her. So, in the QR code assignment, you were given an image as the hint, and the image contained some extra data, because images can contain text-based data, EXIF data, which usually contains information about what if you used a flash when photographing, or what kind of settings your camera used. and it can also optionally include the GPS coordinates of where the picture was taken. So for this assignment, we took a picture of something out here with a camera that had the GPS enabled, and then we gave you this picture, and hopefully the GPS coordinates would be close enough that you would be able to find the QR code poster.
So unfortunately, I can't install the EXIF metadata viewer, so we can't show you how we got the coordinates from the image. But yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Just kidding.
As you can probably guess, we really haven't rehearsed this at all. We just sort of assumed that we would be good enough that it would work on the fly. Yeah, so using this EXIF data viewer, we can see the coordinates. Oh. Yeah, so you can see that the GPS coordinates are right near the Viking ship, so it's right outside here. How many of you managed to complete the Funky Funch assignment? Oh, cool. So if you others may not have guessed, but it's a programming language called Bfunge, which is quite interesting because it's based on the fact that the program starts in the upper left corner of your file, and then it moves according to whatever characters is in the file. So if you type greater than sign, your program will continue moving to the right. If you type the XOR character, it will move upwards. And if you have a less than sign, it will move to the left and so on. And then you have ifs and everything else that you would expect in a normal programming language. So what you see on the screen now shows the execution of the program. And if you're interested in Bfunge, you can look it up on Wikipedia or something and see what all those strange characters do. But you can probably recognize that on the bottom there's a loop that just prints out characters which are on the stack.
How many of you completed the Hidden in Plain Sight challenge? Okay. Yeah, that's quite a few. The thing about the monitor was that we removed the polarization filter of the screen so that you only saw kind of a whitish color and nothing else. But if you look at it from a sharp angle, you could see that it was a picture of a Nyan cat on it. But we hid the token in the picture as well, so that so that you wouldn't be able to see it just by looking at the monitor from a strange angle. Yeah. So this is the monitor with a polarization filter that we hid at the stand, and yeah. I'm sorry for the tokens, by the way. They're all generated by dev_view_random, and 15 printable characters. Reverse engineering.
Ja. Det er vel kanskje. And we're really sorry for anyone who had to use the film that we had on the stand, because it turns out the filter from the monitor that we took it out of was sort of impossible to use. So we had to run it through a lamination machine. which sort of screwed it up. So you got all sorts of white lines and not everything was as visible as it should have been. But if any of you used polarized sunglasses, you would have seen the token perfectly clear. So the next task is the only task in the forensics category, which was named data recovery. So what we've done in this task is that we have created a new virtual hard disk file, and we have created a file system and partitions on this, and then we've stored the token as a text file on the partition. Then one of us manually removed parts of the header of the disk so that the partitions don't show up anymore. And obviously, this makes it so that you can't just mount the image in any easy way. So you have to either extract the partition from the file, because you can use tools that will show you where the partition is, like bin walk. But in this task, you could also just run strings on the image because it was stored as a text file, and there was obviously no fragmentation. And yeah. What? Yeah, okay, so just cutting the file will also show you the token somewhere. So obviously we didn't have that much experience with the forensics category, and we weren't really that creative in creating the assignments. And sometimes we just can't see the easy solutions. So we try to do everything the most difficult way. So we had people trying to repair the partition and saying that, oh, this was horrible. But obviously you could just open the file in a text editor or something and you would see it. So next up is the reverse engineering tasks. And we'll start with the EC1 task. In the EC1 task, the token is just stored as a constant string in the binary. So if you run strings on the binary, or maybe if you open it in a text editor, you'll see the token somewhere. Yeah. And based on the tokens that you may have seen in previous assignments, you can probably guess which of those strings is the token. It's the one with the most horrible characters. You could also find the password. If you see something like secret, you could guess that that's the password. You could of course also use debuggers or use strace or something, or ltrace to see what comparisons it's doing, or to trace the control flow of the program.
Yeah, so EC2.
Then we are to EC2. EC2 is basically the same, but instead of storing the token as plain text, we've XORed it with another constant string. So you won't get the token in the string. And I'm guessing we did the same thing with the password.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't see the password in strings either.
Maybe.
Or maybe you can. Yeah, but since we have to decrypt the password to compare it to the string given by the user, and we use library functions to compare them, you can just use programs like ltrace, which will show you the string compare calls that are made. So you can see that the password is TG15. And when you give the correct token, you, of course, get the correct token out. Do any of you have any questions? Så hva er det den gjør? Yeah, we're just gonna go with the GDB. Yeah, so this program also has some functionality for preventing tracing. Yeah, so if you're familiar with the GCC compiler and the C runtime, the GCC compiler provides you with the possibility to create so-called constructor functions. So these are run before your main function runs, and in our case, we've used these constructor functions to prevent the tracing of the process. So if the process detects that it's being traced, we just exit straight away.
Because GDB is horrible, I'm just gonna slowly walk you through how our main function works, and I won't be doing any live debugging. But this is the main function. It's kind of hard to see because there are no colors or anything fancy, but this function pretty much looks like this in C. It takes input from the user, reads it into a buffer, null terminates it, and then it calls a function called XOR encrypt. So from this we can probably tell that the password is XOR encrypted. And kind of the weakness in this program is that it compares the XOR password with the XOR buffer from the user. So we can perform a reverse operation.
So he just forgot that you can't trace the program. Yeah. So we have the key and the password there, and if you use GDB and disable the tracing detection, then you can just look at the memory locations to find the key and then of course find the password by XORing with the key. So he's writing a small Python program that will try to yeah, so you just XOR those together and you get out the password. Unfortunately, since we haven't rehearsed this and the next assignment is sort of horrible, we can't do it live here. But if you contact us, we can show you, or Christian can show you how to solve the assignment using the tools and whatever keyboard layout he's more comfortable with.
How many of you got to this challenge or tried it? Okay. Secret code 2? No, secret code it's called, I think. Or secrets.
Yeah, secrets.
Yeah, secrets it's called. Yeah, Windows reverse engineering task. How many of you got really mad when only debug crashed? No? Oh, one guy in the back. Okay, so we abused a format string vulnerability in Oli debug just to make it worse for those not using IDA, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So if you want this reverse engineering task explained, just stop by our booth or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next task up is the IBM task. How many of you managed to do that? Quite a lot fewer than we would have expected, because we really thought this was going to be an easy task. Like, you're gonna spend 5 minutes on it. And I'm guessing Christian is going to show you how to do this in 5 minutes, and you'll all feel really stupid. Yeah, so when you connect to the IP address and port specified using Netcat, you get something that looks like total garbage. Makes no sense at all. Nearly no printable characters. And I see someone posted a picture on the IRC channel that you had characters that overlapped in the terminal and all sorts of weird crap. So if you store whatever you get out and you run file on that file and you Google that, it's like the first match. Wikipedia article on new lines, because file tells you that it's using nel new lines, and on the Wikipedia article it says that EBCDIC uses this as the line terminator, or can use it optionally. So basically it's EBCDIC. So he's going to convert the EBCDIC to ASCII, and it's plain text. The token is there, clear as day. So I hope you feel really stupid. The key trouble assignment is one of those assignments where Christian needs his special tools. Does anyone know how much time we have? Yeah, so we're gonna try the key trouble assignment. We're also going to skip some of the easy assignments, probably some of the easy web assignments. But the key trouble assignment is really cool and interesting. So in the key trouble assignment, you're given a public key and some sort of ciphertext. And you can probably guess that the ciphertext is encrypted using the public key, so that you need the corresponding private key to decrypt it. You're also given this image, which gives you an equation, which says that D is larger than 1/3 of N over 1/4. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess the clue here is to figure out that that D is the private key, And so this is an attack on small private keys. Yeah. So let's use our Google foo. I'm not sure if I'll find the correct links here, but we'll try.
Yeah, so with enough Googling around RSA keys and small key sizes, you would eventually probably find this Wikipedia article or something similar to that. And it describes an attack which is called the Wieners Attack. And the equation on the Wikipedia page is basically the same equation that we have. We have just flipped the sign. So we're trying to tell you that that our D is smaller than smaller than. Yeah, you get the picture. So Christian has created some Python scripts that use this attack to find the corresponding. Yeah, okay. He's stolen the scripts from the internets. So basically, these scripts given a public key, and if the private key is vulnerable to this attack, it can give you the private key. So we've forgotten to include the modified script in our repository, but we'll publish the script that can be used to attack the private key. So if you hang around on our channel, we'll publish a link to a repository where we will publish things like solutions to the tasks that have automated solutions. And we'll probably publish some write-ups as well for the other assignments. Authenticate, hva var det?
Det den der
Klager Jonas og Jørgen her?
Ja, ja.
Jonas? Jonas Gudlang? Nei, jeg er ferdig med å snakke. Kanskje man burde ikke. Ja, vi kan ta det på slutten.
Jeg kan ta det på slutten.
Skal jeg si noe? Skal du gå? Ja, sitt der. Det er mye kortere.
Okay, so how many of you got the Authenticate challenge, web challenge, I think? Yeah. Wow, okay, nice.
Skru opp. Fuck, der kom den. Colmac Life.
Yeah, so this is basically XOR. It's decrypts the username based on this key. No. Okay. Yeah, so if you try to change this, you'll see you get something else. But yeah, you're actually meant to calculate how to or what this key should be, but there's a really easy solution to this. You could just copy paste this. Oh. And you'll get this, and then paste this in there, and oh, yeah, sorry. There, and then this. Yeah. Okay. This laptop. What? And then, yeah. You get. It's pretty easy. Yeah. But should I take the easy web task too, or they're like. Yeah, I'm just gonna go through the hard ones. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so they kind of build upon each other. So this is just a really basic inject or SQL attack. What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that's just a normal one. Who got the hello? Nice. So I hope I can select.
No.
Alexi, hvorfor kan jeg ikke selekte tekst?
Ja, nå får du ikke spørsmålstegning.
Oh, oh yeah. So just copy this because the attack is based on multi-byte characters. So so you could just try the same attack and nothing happens. And then yeah, so we guess that we use add slashes in the PHP to escape this. And if you just Google around, you will find that if you paste this one or something else that ends on the hex value this character ends on, it will generate something that add slashers can't escape. But this task is kind of unfair because the character set on the page is wrong, so we gotta change it in Chrome.
So we tried to give you some hints with the text just saying try to escape this. So we just trying to put you on track with searching for how to to bypass escaping of the last solution.
That's it.
And so there is a Stack Overflow post somewhere that shows this solution and why it works. So the backslash that adds to this just gets lost between those two characters there in front. Yeah.
Do you have an internet cable? Someone? Anyone? I'm sorry, VGA cable.
Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Okay, good. So we have some remote tasks. Let's go. Which one we're gonna start with? Let's go with good old Windows XP. So how many of you got it? Yeah. So the description was really basic. Just you know the drill, because I posted a Windows XP box, and as you probably know, Windows XP has a lot of security holes. Huh? So I didn't put much stuff there, but you got a IP and a few mirrors in case someone crashed it, and they did. Yeah. So, I'm just gonna go with the exploit way. Oh, something. Oh, sorry.
So he's using a Linux distro called... I'm just kidding.
Okay, so here I started Metasploit. I think most of you know what that is. And we're just gonna exploit that Windows box with really popular Windows exploits. So it's pretty easy. It's almost like magic. And we're in. Really easy. And that exploit we were using MS08 database. If you Google exploiting Windows XP, it comes up. So, and it works almost perfectly each time. So, can you guys see? Yeah. So we gotta find a token, and because I was a little, I hid it. But if one of the places you might look is the desktop, so we're just gonna cd into. So of course you write alias and but I'm just gonna. Oh look, a note. And this user John has said keep important files in the Windows folder because it will protect against hackers. Yeah. So we're just gonna go to the Windows folder. Really? And if you look at all files, you'll find note to self here too. And if you cat that, it's stupid to keep files in the Windows folder. Program files is much safer. All right. But we're getting closer. So I'm gonna go in the program files, and there's a folder named artwork that's newly created, and here's some files. You could download that art, it's really pretty, but I'm just gonna find a token here, and you're done. So that's easy. Let's go to the next one. So the next task is a blogger's best friend is her PC. So a new and up-and-coming blogger, very talented, has acquired a token, and we have to get it. So we just what we would do would be to just nmap the IP, but that takes time, so we would get something like this, and we'll notice that it has a WinC server running. So we can try to connect to it. Oh, whoops. And we get ask for a password, which we don't have. So you could try brute forcing it, but it wouldn't work. But if you look here, WinC for 4.0. And if you Google WinC exploit and stuff, you'll find that WinC has a really nasty flaw. So we could use another Metasploit module named auxiliary admin WinC. It's an exploit that bypasses the authentication. So we set the arrows to, and we set out to WinC to true, so it starts WinC, and we just run. Here we go. We got a WinC session, and now we got to find a token. So yeah, it's probably a bit laggy, but we'll get it. So there's a blog. Yeah, someone's messed with the default. Someone solved it by reading it in Internet Explorer. It's really funny. We had a WinC session, or the machine monitored on our monitors. So, okay, here we go. So So when someone got in and started moving the mouse, we just grabbed some popcorn and watched. So here's the really cool blog, written in WordPad. So if you notice, there's some pink stuff here, and an elephant, but whatever. If you just mark everything, you'll see I have written a token in white text. So there it is, YOLO TG15. It's a little tricky. So many people open the blog and just, what the fuck, and quit it and messed around, looked everywhere, and went back and like, oh, of course. And then you can also open it in Internet Explorer, and it will be at the end of the file. So, yeah. Okay. So let's go to coolest shell ever. So here we go. We learn about Cool, who uses authorized keys, and you get a private key. So we're gonna connect with that private key to a server. Yeah, and you get a shell. Oops. Yeah, over there you can see. So it gives you some commands, print version info and the matrix. Yeah, and command get token. That loads the token, or maybe not. Yeah, it takes a long time, but it doesn't give you the token. But if you say like, give me a token, you'll get a traceback. And look, it's written in Python. And it uses the input function. The input function evaluates the input. So we can do stuff like range 2, and we'll see argument must be a string or number, not a list, to the function int. But we give it a list. That means range was evaluated. That means we can evaluate other stuff, like OS system cut token.txt. And there we go. Or you could just open token.txt, read. And you get an error, but you get a token. So yes, that was 3 remote tasks. Thank you.
Do we need to change the input again to use HDMI? Maybe.
Han bruker Windows 8. Altså, det var det. Yes. Ja.
Ja, ja, det kommer noen nå som kan fikse. HDMI, eller?
Ja, ikke særlig.
Okay, so how many of you managed to complete the first part of the finale challenge? Nice, nice. And how many completed the last one? Okay, not as many.
Bare en som klarte finalen? Seriøst? Holy shit. Wow. Why?
Yes. Yeah, so we'll start by downloading the pcap file, and since this is the one task that I've rehearsed, this should really work well. So when we open the pcap file, we see that there's an FTP transfer of some sort that has happened sometime in the past. We also get the IP of the machine, and using Wireshark, we can follow the TCP stream, which basically just gives us all the data in the stream. And since it knows that this is FTP data, we just get the data. So instead of choosing EBCDIC or something weird, we choose raw, and then we can save the file. So if we save it just here, we have the file saved. So that's just basic Wireshark. If we use the standard file tool on the file, we see that it's gzip compressed data, which we can, of course, extract. I know there's a tar archive inside, so I'm cheating a bit. And we see that we have go ahead and libgo. And go ahead won't necessarily run on your machine if you haven't gotten the proper environment. So what I did was I downloaded the go ahead, and I installed it, and then I copied the binaries from the FTP pcap into the folder where the compiled go-ahead binary was. So then we have a go-ahead the web server. And obviously there are lots of ways to figure this out, how it works. And since it was just the binaries that were transferred, we can probably guess that something fishy is up. So if we, again, we're cheating a bit because we know that the binary is a red herring. It's the library that really contains the data, the code that does the interesting things. And since we haven't stripped it of symbols, we can find a function which is called start backdoor. And that sounds really interesting. And the start backdoor function is called from a function which is called parse headers. Yeah, parse headers. So using GDB, so we're just running GDB as normal. We can't put breakpoints in the functions that are in the library because they haven't been loaded yet, but we can break on the main function, and then we can run, and then we can break on the library functions. So if we now make an HTTP request, we see that we have hit the breakpoint in GDB. So we have figured out that the start backdoor is called from parse headers. So maybe if we send some kind of specific header, we'll start some kind of backdoor. Apparently, there are quite difficult ways to solve this task. But the first thing that popped into my head, because I didn't create this task, so I didn't know how to solve it when I solved it. But I figured out, I saw that in the object dump, right before the call to start backdoor, there were lots of calls to string compare. So I created this little library that creates my own version of string compare. It also creates its own version of execv, which we'll use later. But we will use string compare, and then I calculate some addresses, which I used during debugging, but it's not that important. So this library we compile like that, and it complains because I'm writing really bad code. But the library is created. It's just a warning. It compiles fine. And then we can run the go-ahead server, which is the next line, with the LD preload library set. So now we can see all the string comparisons that the program makes. And if we then in another terminal just try to access the web server, we see that it's comparing what looks like to be the request headers of the request with strings like if modified, since, and whatever else. And there's one in particular which is called allow backdoor, which is really interesting. So if we then use curl, we can add a header named that. So if we just type something totally random, we see, because we have also hooked the execv function, that it attempts to execve bin netcat nc with the argument e and up time control shell, and argument is 127001, and the final argument is AAA. So it's trying to create a netcat shell that will connect to a given IP address and port. And the IP address is fetched from the request. So if you do this on the virtual network, you will see your own, well, it would use your own IP address instead. You can test this on a local machine by using multiple IP addresses, but it's not important. You realize this sooner or later. So this means that we can start netcat in listening mode. So we just start a netcat that listens, and then we can start then we can make a request to the web server with the allow backdoor header and the proper port. And of course, I'm not on the VPN now, so it doesn't work. TG15. So if I start my netcat again, and then I curl to the actual server, which is which has the IP address which we fetched from the pcat file, we see that we get a shell. So this is just your basic reverse shell. So if you type something random or if you type help, you get the list of commands. And if we say type history, we see that someone has traveled back in time to 2001. So maybe we can travel back in time as well. So if you type travel, you get the syntax. It's quite intuitive, a lot better than most of software available today. So it says this is an experimental feature and really dangerous, but sure, we'll jump back in time. So we had a lot of fun making this assignment, especially when it suddenly crashed in the middle of this. Yeah, we're gonna publish some pictures of the behind the scenes of this task. So when you do this assignment, you get the token that you submit. And this unlocks the next assignment, which tells you that there's a power grid gateway server located at 10.22.2. Yeah, so now we've followed Agent Smith back to the past using CERN's experimental time continuum manipulation server, and we've tracked him down and we met some interesting people named Neo and Morpheus, and we're going to prevent Agent Smith's evil plans. And he plans to prevent the Gathering 2001, a cyberspace odyssey, from taking place, and this will create ripples in the time continuum that will lead to intelligent robots taking over the planet. So obviously it's quite important that we stop this. We get the IP address of a server, and while Neo and Morpheus are fighting Agent Smith, we're going to hack into the server. So we run nmap on the server, which is, of course, really slow, but we get an open port, SSH, port 22. So if we telnet into that, we get the version string of the OpenSSH server that it's running. And this is an OpenSSH server from like 2001. So it's quite extraordinary. So standard procedure is just to search for that on Google. And we see there's some kind of attack. And if you click around enough, yeah, I'm cheating again. Or maybe my network is... Oh, come on. So, from some of the Google links, you get a link to PacketStorm. And everything is lagging really badly. I think it's the Colmac that's fighting back. Just a quick reboot of my virtual machine, and we'll be back in action. Ja, men det var Chrome som lagget, så dette fikser vi. So we find the exploit, and you have to click through like, well, if you follow the link that I found first, you have to click like through 10 different links to find the correct link. So I've connected to the VPN again, and I've gotten the exploit. And it's a really nasty exploit. I could only find it in the binary version. So it's called SHAC, or SSHD exploit, and it exploits the same, I'm quite sure it's the same exploit that they use in the Matrix Reloaded. So if you run it with T0, you get a list of the target that it supports. And by trial and error, you find out that the target 10 is the one that really works well. So So this is running quite slowly on this network. It's usually quite a lot faster. So we can just let it run for a while.
Dette kommer til å gå til helvete på den.
Hva? God damn. Ja, So we'll just let this exploit run in the background, and we're going to start by handing out the Raspberry Pis to the teams that have won those. And then we're going to show you the end of the exploit after that, hopefully, because this will be done. Yeah. So det stemmer. Ja. Okay, so ja. The first place in the hacking competition goes to Team MRTN, which consists of Martin Ingensen and Nikolai Magnussen. So give them a round of applause. And then we're going to give them their Raspberry Pis. So the second place goes to the team named Luxuslaget, which consists of Christopher Bentsrud. So is Christopher Bentsrud there? Yes? And And the third place goes to Vassenden Bits and Bytes, which consists of Stian Fredrikstad and Erik Vattum. And the fourth place goes to a team which has had some Unicode errors in my file. But I think it's Dødsfella 2015, which consists of Arne Christian Blystad and Martin Lehmann. Yeah, and in case you didn't know, there will also be monetary prizes awarded at the main stage later today. In 2 minutes, okay. So we'll speed this up. Okay, so the next team is Kakehackerne. They consist of quite a lot of people, but they only received 2 Raspberry Pis, unfortunately. So, Kakehackerne, Bendik Hagen, Mats Sies, Sigurd Alnes, Simen Linderud, William Aas Dalen og Odin Jenseg. Next team out is Somtronics, which consists of Espen Haviken, Ståle Kristoffersen, Christian Moen, and Alex Sanner. And the 7th place goes to the team named KOS, which consists of Ole Christian Lien and Henrik Norvik. And the 8th place goes to Anime Bitches, with some creative lettering. And they consist of Alexander Lunde, Philip Henriks, Levi Hiatala. So give them a round of applause. Yeah. And the 9th place goes to and the last place goes to Kekbur, which consists of Vegard Bull Jensen and Einar something with Unicode Antonsen. So we're out of prizes, and the exploit is still going on. And I'd like to mention that the Raspberry Pis were provided by Mnemonic, the only purely IT security firm in the northern countries, And they've also provided us with the server which runs the virtual private network and the hacking virtual machines. So give them a round of applause as well. Yeah, if you want to see more of this exploit, and you really, really should, come to the UIO stand.